Hey, welcome to the Black Nation podcast. I'm your host, Sal Interdonato. Podcast is brought to you by Higher Echelon. Higher Echelon, a company run by Joe Ross. And we appreciate Higher Echelon for bringing you this podcast. And we're here with Steve Anderson. The OGs are back. We're going to review another big Army win, 37-14 over Rice at Mikey Stadium on Saturday. Steve, wanted to get your impressions of it because being at the game itself, I mean, it just seemed like Army was in control of this game from the outset. They got the ball first. They went down the field. They threw that touchdown pass daily to short. And from there on, I mean, they were in control and never really were threatened at all during the game. It didn't seem like to me. That was my opinion watching it. What did you see from watching it from home?
I think the biggest thing that was pretty obvious throughout it is that we came with uh, the mentality and the attitude that we were going to beat Rice and half, which is pretty cool to watch. All three facets of football and really fun to watch.
Yeah, I think we have some connection issues. We'll try to just go through this. Yeah, they had a week and a half they had 2 weeks to prepare for this game. They had a bye week, and then so the offense was ready to go. Bryson Daly said, they were hitting on all cylinders. 5 total touchdowns for Bryson Daly, and just seems better and better every game. The running game was working. They went through the air successfully, efficient passing game. He threw a touchdown pass to Casey Reynolds at the end of the first half. That was impressive to finish the first half with like a 2-minute drive. And the defense did its job. I mean, I when you get an interception, Steve, on a defense, you fire it up at the end of the half, right? And you think like, okay, if the offense can turn it into points, even better. And so instead of 21-0 at the half, they kind of stuck the foot on the gas and made it 28-0 at the half. And that certainly was some momentum heading into the locker room. Steve, we lost Steve for a second. We'll try to get him back. Yeah, big momentum for Army at the end of the half. Nice drive. I really just thought Army was the superior team today. I thought this game would be closer, to be honest with you. I thought this game could come down to the fourth quarter. I guess I bought into Rice's front seven being really good, but Cody Worley was one step ahead of them with the play calling. Man, he's been really good the first 3 games as offensive coordinator. It's just different. It seems like definitely keeping defenses on their off track and not knowing completely what to expect on some plays. And Bryson Daly's the perfect guy to run this Cody Worley offense. He could do so much, and he wants to win so bad, and he wants this team to be successful. You look at that fourth down run where he launched himself into the end zone. There was no doubt he was going to get in. That was Army's 3rd touchdown, I think. I mean, when your quarterback has that desire, it has that want to, and he brings that to the field every game. How many tackles does he run out of? How many plays does he extend? How many times does he give that extra effort? And it all adds up for them. Man, it's fun to watch. It's fun to see the offense the way it's been running. And in the second half, maybe it didn't go completely the right way. They could maybe done things a little bit better, picked up some first downs, and but for the most part, it was a pretty strong game from Army. Guys, if you're watching right now and you have any comments on the game, please send them our way. Hoping to get Steve back soon for this. Just the defense, another strong outing by the defense. Andon Thomas with an incredible interception off an incredible play by Max DiDomenico to pop the ball out in the air. Andon Thomas, right place, right time. His first career interception. Defense made plays when it had to, and they're keeping the offenses in front of them in the passing game. Not so many big plays of, say, 25 yards or more from opponents. And, man, if you look at the first team defense for Army, it's 7 points each game they have allowed. So that's pretty impressive. Real quick, I'm going to just get this out. Special teams, too. You have a blocked field goal by Ella Madozi. That's huge, keeps points off the board. Not so much the special teams of Army's fault, but the Rice punter can't field the snap and goes for a safety to start the second half, scoring for Army. So there's a lot of good things about this game for Army. And I wrote a game story that's going to be coming up on our website, and I said that it was a perfect first half for them. I think it was. The second half, Coach Monken said there were some mistakes, but that's good to have something that you can build off of. We're going to Steve trying to get back in here. We'll try to get him back on in a second. Having those mistakes, so to speak, to build on a short week. They play Temple on Thursday. Temple won today. They're now 1-3. Army goes to Lincoln Financial Field on Thursday to with a chance to go to 4-0. And real quick, I want to get a stat out there that I was told by Army Sports Information, with Navy winning today at 3-0. Army and Navy being 3-0 for the first time since, I believe the number is the first time since 2016. They're 3-0. And they've only been 3-0 4 times since 1958. Army and Navy after 3 games for 3-0. So that's pretty impressive. Just the way the offense rolled today, they're going to be hard to stop. It doesn't look like we're going to get Steve back on here. It's going to be me solo for a little bit. Maybe we'll do this again tomorrow night. Just kind of a test run, I guess, tonight, but talking the games. If you guys are watching and have any questions, we can get to that too. So just the play today, if they play games like they did in the first half and they string together an even average second half, this team's going to be really hard to beat. The American Athletic Conference, it's only early in conference play, but with Navy knocking off Memphis today, when Army joined the conference, they were saying, hey, if Army and Navy finish first and second, they will play the week before the Army-Navy game, and they'll play in 2 consecutive weeks. And you're like, that won't happen. When's that going to happen? Once in 10 years, once in 20 years? They're both 2-0, and Navy's win over Memphis, they look pretty good. They put close to 60 points on the board against Memphis. Very impressed with Navy, and Blake Horvath has been a revelation at quarterback for them. It's something that definitely to keep your eye on, especially with the way Army schedule unfolds and how they how everything's setting up for them. I mean, when we saw the conference schedule, it looks like we have Steve back.
So
we have Steve back. I cannot fly this ship solo very well, Steve. We got to get you back there. I'm so happy. I'm just like mumbling along on the game, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm trying to get this out to more people. And man, I was just talking about how if you look at that first half, perfection, offense, defense, special teams. It's hard to find something negative about the first half. And if they could put that together for a game and even have like an average second half, this team looks pretty tough to beat, Steve.
Yeah, I mean, it's early. Rice is 1-3 now. We don't know how good Rice is going to be this year. I think regardless, the best takeaway here is regardless if Rice is a good team or a bad team, we beat them the way we were supposed to. And that's by playing Army football. I tried saying it earlier. I don't know how well it came across, but um, the way we approached that game, where we truly believe we were tougher, more physical, we attacked every angle on both sides of the ball, on all three facets of the game. You can say what you want about um, the the fake kick or the fake up 30 or whatever. I think that's a perfect time to maybe put something on film that you want them to see on film that we can potentially counter off of later, or just try something out that we'd never tried before that we were just thinking about having in a game. Everybody played with such confidence. I mean, I think, again, the most impressive thing is we played up to the level we should be playing at. And that is always what you try to accomplish every Saturday, is play your football. And it was pretty good throughout, the entirety of the game.
It's great to see on the offensive side of the ball to see an efficient passing game. It's great to see routes that are run crisp. It's great to see receivers open. It's great to see a quarterback that can hit the receivers on the money. I mean, that pass to Noah Short, that 41-yard pass on the opening drive. I mean, you don't get any better than that if you're playing an Army offense. That's exactly what you needed. Even at the end of the first half, that pass, that out route, I guess a corner route
Oh
was it?
yeah,
I
it's
mean,
great. But I think what's even more promising about an early touchdown pass is it shows the range of our offense to where we don't have to rely on establishing the run
mm,
to have those opportunities to capitalize. So a team has to play us square, play us even out the gate, which will allow us to, control the line of scrimmage, possibly put them on the heels. But as we put more film on there, and teams continue to see, our strengths and weaknesses, and our tendencies start to become analytical, you know, kind of points of data points. We'll see how it goes. Again, we played great football today. Lot of promise comes out of that. We had guys. I think it was maybe the third quarter. I noticed we had guys continually trying to finish the play away from the ball.
mm,
I remember
yeah.
seeing. It was a defensive play. It was a run play. The receiver ran a route, and you would have thought that defensive back thought that receiver was going to get the ball thrown to him on the other side of the field. Um, and that is the attention to detail. That is the small things that are going to make a good team great. Again, here we sit. First year in the league, 3-0, with some pretty good, film on the table now. So, we go into the bye week, right? We got bye coming up, right?
No,
No,
Temple
no,
on
no.
Temple
We
Thursday,
can't coming
short
off the
week.
bye. Coming off the bye. Yeah, that's right. Last weekend I didn't get Army football. I had to watch some bowl or whatever. But yeah, so coming off the bye, looking fresh. So now we gotta put it together here, because we got a pretty good stretch of games here um, that we can really capitalize off of.
The next three games are at Temple, at Tulsa, and home UAB. I mean, it's there. It's there. And now you got the coach. Casey Larkin, safety for Army, said that they can't be complacent. They're not going to be complacent. They're going to come to work every day, and on a short week, that's what you got to do. And you got to go down to Temple, and you got to you got to take care of business. And I think that this team, it's different. It's not different than last year's team, but there's a quiet confidence about this team. But I think there's a quiet confidence because they're putting in the work, and you hear that they're very good at practice. That they're all business at practice, which most teams are. But I think that this team, first year in the league, they want to prove something, right? They want to prove something, and I think that last year they won 4 in a row toward the end of the season. Maybe.
Well, I think this year. Look, I think this year is a little different in the aspect that you have the extended playoffs. Okay. Like there's real opportunity here. Army could have gone 12-0 the past 10 years with the schedule they had and probably not would have got a look at the number 4 slot. All right. For the college football playoffs. That's just a fact. Like strength of schedule.
Yeah.
Maybe if we strung 3 years of 12-0, we start getting respect and getting in the playoffs. But there's a real shot that our team knows that, hey, 12, you win this conference, you're gonna get a playoff opportunity, and that's huge to be the first team in Army football history to go into the playoff. It's an awesome opportunity. These guys, and when you talk about that quiet confidence, that's what I feel like is kind of like the goal they want to scream at everybody, but we preach humble professionals all the time in the military. And I think that's what they're trying to show us with their actions is they want to show that they belong in the playoffs, at least a conversation or a chance to put themselves in a position to get to the first ever 12-team playoff. And it's a possibility this year. Teams looking great, teams feeling good, health will always come into play with that. But this game, that first half was pretty impressive for any Division I team to do that at all 3 facets for an entire 30 minutes.
10 out of 10. 10 out of 10. It was just like, funny, maybe not funny. This is a press box story, and I'm just going to tell it. When Rice is lining up for that field goal, I'm like, all right, this is a good chance to just go to the men's room. Rice is either going to make it or miss it. And then what happens? I'm halfway up, and I hear the crowd erupt, and it's the blocked field goal. It's another play by special teams. Every game they're popping up. Special teams is making big plays. And I'm like, man, I missed that play. I missed the play because I was like, but it was just
Sal, funny story. Same thing happened as my 2-year-old. It was time for him to go down for a nap. And, my wife's like, hey, can you go put him down? I'm like, with the game's on. Like, can he stay up a little bit longer? When he had to go down, that's fine. And I was like, oh, it's all right. It's just a field goal. Whatever. Boring play. I get my kid up to his bedroom, and boom, my 2 older sons run up. They blocked it. They're like, stay up there. Good things are happening while you're up there. I'm like, God dang it. Come on. So, but yeah, no, it's, again, huge momentum shifts are special teams plays, right? And honestly, it just looked like we were all over Rice's play call. Like we had good defensive calls. Coaches were dialed in. Weren't a lot of guys, weren't finding themselves out of position, and they were making plays on balls and hitting. And it just was a really impressive first half for all 3. But man, watching that defense feel so confident, play with such confidence, especially the secondary, keeping their composure and making plays on the ball and not worried about PI or the guy, breaking off a catch, a run after catch kind of deal. It felt like we believed we were in control of this game the entire time, and we got to determine the tone throughout. And it was really, I mean, super fun and inspiring to watch. We don't know how good Rice is, but good team or bad team, we played Army football and, control the clock, limit turnovers. We say it week in and week out. Good things always, the score usually shows what it does when we play that kind of football.
Yeah, I think after the first quarter, I tweeted it out or X'd it out, whatever it's called. The time of possession was like 13 minutes
Yep.
and 40 seconds to like 156. And I mean, and I think the first half was 21 minutes to 9. I mean, that's keeping the defense fresh. That's keeping.
We had it was like we had multiple 15 plus drives, 15 play drives.
Yeah.
Multiple.
Mike Fulowski says the secondary has been a nice surprise this year so far. And you know what? You had Max DiDomenico back there, right, as the experienced guy, and then everybody else was going to be a new starter, so to speak. And I'll tell you, Max, I have to give Max a ton of credit just for being the leader back there, right? Today, he's out there with a club on his right hand because he broke his hand against Florida Atlantic. He's out there playing, and that interception, he kind of causes the interception with a pretty heavy hit on the receiver. The ball pops up, and then Thomas is right place, right time for the pick. And him and Casey Larkin are a pretty good duo right now. Larkin's making some plays at the line of scrimmage. Like, he's reading plays well from the secondary. He's getting to the plays very quickly. Like you say, Steve, good coaching. And the defense, the corners are not really being tested so much. I mean, we haven't seen the big plays from opponents this year. We haven't seen like the 30, 40-yard pass plays. They're keeping everything in front of them. And, some people might call it bend, don't break, but it's not breaking.
Yeah, fundamentals, eyes, keys, assignment, and communication. That's where we saw a lot of. That's where you see a lot of problems in secondary, especially communication. You're playing thirds on one side, halves on the other, quarters or halves, or just in the wrong shift, or one guy rotates the wrong way. Not seeing it. Guys are dialed in to Max, testament to Max to making sure guys are in the right sets and know what page we need to be on. But you're right, Sal. Like I don't even feel like there's been a situation where we have felt like, okay, here we go again, or here's the deep, here we can expect the deep ball. And to Podolski's point, it has been a nice surprise because it allows those front seven guys to really play fast, to know that the coverage is there and the fits are the coverages are fitting. But to your point, Sal, yes, I mean the coaches have got those guys dialed in. They've got them down. I mean, there's a lot of great play calls that puts those guys in the right position to make those plays, and the guys are making it, and that's great.
Yeah.
And that's what it's like when you say it out loud, it kind of sounds like, oh yeah, that's what everybody's job is. Like coaches put guys in positions and they make the play because that's what they do. Like it just doesn't always work out that way when. In the military we say, the enemy always has a vote. The other team always has a vote in those things. So it's good to see it all come together. I think, moving forward, I think you're right, Sal. There's what is there to be, complacent about? We haven't really done it. We've won, really 3 games that, haven't decided anything of the season, right? So we haven't beat any, big rival. We haven't, done anything that we should not have expected to do. So I don't see complacency even coming into the, the purview because nothing's been done.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
plenty to be proud about, and you should be proud and you should celebrate and you should, on brave old Army team in the locker room, right? Like that's winning on every Saturday is hard, and we've done it 3 times in a row now, well, at least 3 weeks in a row, not necessarily all on Saturday, but it's it's looking good, it's feeling good. I know my chats are feeling good. I know even off my chats, I'm getting texts from generals and brigade commanders that are like, hey, how about them Black Knights, Steve? I'm like, yeah, yes sir, looking good, feeling good.
It's first off, real quick, I wanted to promo some stuff. I got to talk to Andon Thomas and Noah Short on the field for like quick 1-minute interviews after the game. Really cool. If you check the socials, they're on there. We have all the press conferences up on our YouTube channel. Check out our YouTube channel. You can subscribe. You can hear Jeff Monken. You can hear Bryson Daly, Lucas Scott, Casey Larkin. Check out that stuff. Game story will be up soon. Want to say a little bit about the coaching, and I wanted to talk about just the making the plays part, Steve. Sometimes you think it's so easy to come up with a big play, right? But these plays are turning out to be very routine for them and very natural and within the flow of either the offense or within the flow of the defense, and even on special teams. I mean, you almost expect now you better stay in your seat. You better stay in your seat for these games. And like when you're watching Temple on if you're going to the game on Temple on Thursday, if you're watching it at home, stay in your seat because something's happening. Almost, something good is happening, and that's something that we weren't sure about in the previous years. This year, there's a lot of good vibes right now, and yes, it's early. It's 3 games in, but to be 3 halfway to bowl eligibility already, hey. How many times the last couple of years are we fighting? Okay, well, they need to do this, this, and this to qualify for a bowl. And we're talking about, well, it's getting deep into November. And, oh, well, now they're 5, but they have these 2 FCS wins. We let's I mean, it's in a pretty good spot right now. I'm not going to say college football playoff right now. I'm not saying undefeated season yet, but keep the ball rolling. Keep the ball rolling.
Yeah, and I think it goes back to people that are around the team, watch the team, seen the team, that kind of that quiet, eerie, what's behind the curtain confidence, like what do you guys know that we don't know, kind of feeling about, man, these guys are just coming to play. They're taking no prisoners. They're not missing a beat. They are confident. All that kind of stuff is as a previous player, you love to see it, because there's something there, and then as a fan, you're like, God, I wish I could be in those locker rooms just to know, what the boys are actually going through, and but that's what makes that's why we're fanatics, because we love it. So
this is a loose bunch too. I tell you, this is a loose bunch. When they're on the field, they play hard. I mean, when after the game, they like you said, they celebrate. It's not just on brave old Army team in the locker room. There's some celebrating going on. Good for them. I was looking. I want to give the offensive line a shout out today. I mean, Rice had we heard about Coach Monken and Cody Worley, the offensive coordinator, talked about Rice's front 7, how big they were, how physical they were. Well, not so much today. I mean, yeah, they stuffed a couple runs, but Army's offensive line is playing well. I mean, it's 5 guys for the most part with a mix of Booby Law in there. No Brady Small. I mean, I like to highlight Brady Small a lot to center because I don't see snaps are clean. The middle maybe does opens up enough for the fullbacks and Bryson Daly to run in. But Lucas Scott is having a hell of a year. And I don't know if you noticed him on the right tackle spot, but this guy's an athlete, Steve, and this guy is mobile. They're running. I don't know if they didn't do much today, but against Florida Atlantic, they ran a lot of pull plays with him, and he can play guard, tackle. He's they recruited him to play B-back, I think, when he was in high school. And now he's and you see him at the press conference. This guy, I mean, I talked about last podcast. I think NFL scouts are checking this guy out because he's a 2-time or 3-time state champion wrestler too. He was back in high school in New York State. But you couple all those 5 guys together, and Rice's defensive line was non-existent this game, I thought. I mean, maybe they got into the backfield once or twice, toss play. Maybe the edges got there, but
I thought it was. Yeah, and I think, dude, 13 minutes in the first quarter, you're gassed. That D-line's gassed.
Good point.
And then they're just not able to catch up. It doesn't matter. You're playing 80 plays, 70 plays. What was the temperature like in West Point today?
It was a little warm, but it wasn't like, I think it was like high 70s. High 70s.
And that takes a toll, man. Like getting fired, like just fired at 15 plays in a row, like, and not being able to stop them. And then you have a coach that's willing to go for it on like 4th and 2. It's just like, God dang it. Like it's demoralizing. And I think, at least for me, that third touchdown series, that it just seemed like it did not. Those guys look very easy to push around. Not necessarily easy, but those guys look like that's when it looked like that third touchdown series for Army is where I felt like those guys were really getting gassed, and it was just going to be an uphill battle for them, and almost like our team knew it, like we had to keep the foot on the pedal because we had the advantage there.
Yeah, they go 4 for 4 and touchdowns, to start the game, and what I want. I think we talked about at the beginning, but maybe not with the way we started. Bryson Daly, that 4th down play where he just launched himself in the air into the end zone. That reminded me of another Army football player from the Air Force game back in the day. So that's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying there. So.
Yeah. But like the decisiveness to know that he took off from about, yard and a half out.
Yep.
And he was like, I know I'm getting in. Like almost like he had predetermined, like, hey, I've seen this play before. I'm going to come off the left side here. There's going to be a gap. I'm just going to send it. And we're going to shoot the cannons off. And we're going to put this game, we're going to really start putting this game behind us. I mean, the passion he plays with, so fired up. I mean, my 2 young boys just fired up when he jumped over the line. Again, momentum, right? You're talking momentum there. You're seeing for all intents and purposes, the star quarterback of the opposing team asserting dominance early, and it's like, man, it's gonna be tough to stop this guy for another 35 40 minutes going through this. So
during the press conference, Ken Kreitzer asked Bryson, you ran the ball 21 times. He broke it down. You carried the ball 41% of the times today. Can you do this for the whole season? And he's like, I hope I can. I hope I can. And I mean,
God willing.
And Coach Monken described him like he's a quarterback in a B-back spotty, basically. Yeah. And he can throw the ball. And Coach Monken was asked, so how would you compare him to the other quarterbacks that you've had at West Point? And Coach Monken wasn't playing that game, right? But I'm telling you, it's a 2-year. It's going to be a 2-year sample size for Bryson Daly. But if this season turns out to be what it could be, and he's at the helm, He's going to be right up there with the Ahmad Bradshaws and the Kelvin Hopkinses of the world. I mean, because he can do a little bit of both. Today, Steve, he had over 100 yards at halftime in both rushing and passing. You don't see that often in an Army quarterback.
No,
You know,
and we talk about it. He's getting better at capitalizing on the throws he has to make. Like the situation and throws he has to make in order to stretch the field. Throws that he should make there today. Made a couple really difficult throws. The one rolling out hit the guy in the flat for a 20-yarder. Super impressive there. Pretty sure he's rolling to his left too, which makes it harder. So I think another part to that though is you can tell the team follows him. The team respects him. He's obviously holding, he's a good, leader, whether that's in the huddle, in the locker room, during the practice field. I mean, you can tell guys love it when he's doing well. And yeah, I mean, I would really like it if he's carrying the ball 21 times a game. That means we're probably doing something right. So I want that. He better be able to carry that load for the rest of the season.
This wasn't really a game for the fullbacks. I think that what Army saw was, and Bryson says, you're going to take what the defense gives you. If it means I'm going to run 21 times a game, I got to run 21 times a game. If I got to give it to the fullback 30 times a game, then I'll give it to the
Yeah, now that this game's on film, the next team we play is going to be, all right, we got to stop the quarterback, right?
Yeah.
And we got to rely on him to make the right reads, and, it'll be a 20 carry fullback game.
Yeah.
So that's the great thing about the triple option, and that's the benefit of having such a athlete at that position. I mean, it just makes it very hard to tell if he's going to give it, run it, or back out of it and hit a seam, a seam route for a 41-yard touchdown.
Yeah. I wrote the story about him earlier in the year before the first game. He talked about how Army recruited him as a quarterback, but he also played two ways for his dad in high school. He also played like a little linebacker, and they're like, if it doesn't work, we could give you a shot at linebacker. The coach just said, well, guess what? Quarterback's right. Quarterback's right for him.
I mean, there's been a couple quarterback linebacker duos that I've watched over the years, and if the coach wants you to be a quarterback, you're gonna play quarterback.
Right.
So,
Well, you know what? Max DiDomenico was recruited as a quarterback, and they moved him to safety, and that's been a great move. That's been a great move. I always say, like, the second best quarterback on this roster is Max DiDomenico. That's what I say, even though he's playing defense. That's me saying it. That's me being honest, but he was a good Texas quarterback too. And it's just like, I look at Bryson Daly's stats, say 23 carries, 145 yards, 3 touchdowns. Then he goes 6 of 9 for 107 and 2 touchdowns. Accounted for 5 touchdowns today. And, Noah Short was their leading rusher coming into the game. 1 carry, 23 yards. That'll do. 2 catches, 1 for a touchdown. That's fine.
That's the life of a slot back sometime, man. Like, you get 3 touches, 4 touches, but you got, long run, a tug, and, maybe your favorite play, the counter, got to get that counter in there.
One of these days. Hey, real quick, the first play of the game, Miles Stewart had not taken the carry for the first 98 plays of his season. So what does Cody Worley do? Give the ball to Miles Stewart the first play of the game. And he got decent. I think he got like 18 yards out of it. So Coach Monken said it would be his time when the time comes he would get the ball. They weren't going to just use him as a blocking back because he was blocking a lot for Noah Short on the outside. Give a shout out to Miles Stewart. Real quick before we get off. So you got Army at 3-0. You see what Navy did to Memphis today?
I did not.
59-40 something. They beat Memphis, who came in 23 in the coaches poll. So Memphis I think they were the number 1 team in the AAC preseason poll, the media poll. They were number 1 ranked. And Navy's quarterback accounted for 6 touchdowns.
I'm gonna have to talk to my high school, my sophomore year in high school. Our senior captain of our high school team is a defensive coordinator for Memphis. So I'm gonna have to text him and be like, "What are you doing, letting Navy
What?
do that to you, man? That's just
Well, here's the
rude."
thing. Here's the thing. That win by Navy, beating Memphis and handing Memphis already a conference loss early in play, that the window opens a little bit for that Army Navy game before the Army Navy game with that. If Navy, that's a tough game for Navy and Navy got that W. They got it at home. Good for them. I'm giving them a lot of props for doing that. That kind of helps Army out a little bit. Now, if Army can get through their league schedule, December, whatever it is, December 8th, I think it is, maybe.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, man. If
A
the
little
first year, if the first year in this conference, we see Army Navy, and then we see a conference championship Army Navy, what are we calling that? What are we doing there? Who's going to see the White House if we split? What's going on there?
That's a good point. That's a good point. But
who wins the CI? Is there one CIC and one con?
Yes.
What are we doing? Yeah, I know that's how they're calling it, but yeah. So anyway,
hey,
we can let's revisit that in a few weeks when it can be a little more certain that could come to fruition. So
yeah, and this is more for our buddy Seth Mendelson, who's not here today. Seth's son got married. We congratulate Seth's family on that occasion. He always wants to talk about conference realignment. He's big on it. He wrote a story. It's like he's shooting a story to me about the conference realignment in the Air Force. I'm like, Seth, I don't want to really hear about that right now. I mean, I don't know if it's a good thing that you should do it. He wrote it, and it got a lot of views on our website. So, I mean, he knows a little something, I guess.
Oh, yeah.
And can you imagine the fact if Air Force joins the AAC and you have all 3 service academies in the AAC? I mean, I don't know if I'm necessarily for it, but honestly, I wasn't really for Army going into the AAC in the first place. And maybe I'll admit I'm wrong. I was wrong.
I'll tell you what, AAC is seeing a lot of dollar signs from having all the academies in there. I mean, that's a lot of revenue that the AAC is going to get from just those 3 games alone, if they can claim them as conference games as well. So we'll see.
Yeah, and I think the way that I look at it too is with Army, we saw against Florida Atlantic, the Army fans travel well. I mean, the way they're based out and the service,
Yeah, absolutely.
So, I mean, I don't know if in Tulsa, in Temple, I don't know. It's kind of, you'll get your local Army fans there, but when you go to Tulsa, I'd like to see what kind of Army fans show up for that game in a few weeks. And man, it's shaping up really interesting. I think did you think this could be a special season this year? I thought the way the conference schedule laid out, it was possible, but to see 3-0, and yes, it's Lehigh, Florida Atlantic, and Rice.
Yeah, I mean, I'm super. We've been through a quarter of the season. A little skeptical about. We don't really know. What Lehigh, what Florida Atlantic, what Rice, what kind of teams they are this year. But to be 3-0 feels great. The fact that kind of me and you are on the same page as far as it's kind of like this eerie confidence that you don't really know where it's coming from, but you love it and you're seeing it, and they're playing well. Is all good things and all good recipes. And again, haven't done anything really yet. They stay after it. Good things. But yeah, I think it feels good, Sal. It feels good watching them on Saturday, not just winning, but winning decisively and in a way that you've seen throughout history. Army football teams doing really well throughout a season playing the way they are.
Yeah. One more thing I want to mention is that I don't know if there is in the past, but there's just no egos on this team. There's no as you want to say superstars or anything. The quarterback's one of the most unselfish players on the team. He's one, he just wants to win. And we talked about that following his lead, but everybody is, they say do your 111th, and it's so cliche, right? It's so cliche. But on defense, that's what they're doing. That's what they're doing. And they're shuffling in guys. And I tell you, when Brett Arena gets in the game, he brings a lot of energy to the game. Steve, they're 3-0 without sacking the quarterback this year. They have no sacks yet this year. They're getting enough pressure, they're doing enough on the backside, and it's working out.
Yeah, it'll be really nice when we start adding some sacks. Okay, let's break that tradition next week. Okay, it's always good to sack the quarterback. A lot of guys make a lot of money doing that. Just specifically, just focusing on that. So let's break that trend this weekend, and let's it's good. I don't like keep talking about how good it feels, because I want to continue to see them just play their football, not worry about all the outside noise, not worried about whatever bowls, double Army Navy games, whatever, just focusing on the next game and just keep stacking these W's.
No doubt. And what's great about this week coming up is you don't have to wait till Saturday. Thursday night football. It's the only college football game on TV. It's an ESPN game. It's Temple. It's a winnable game. So let's see what the Black Knights can do on a short week. Really appreciate you guys watching us. Check out our coverage. Like I said, Game Story is up on our website. Interviews, one-on-one interviews with Noah Short and Andon Thomas from the field after the game are there too. Just a bunch of stuff I put up, and we'll have some more soon. Steve, thanks for joining us, and we'll be back probably next week. And I don't know if we're doing a Thursday night review after a 7:30 start, but we'll get back on here and hopefully talk about another win next week.
Yeah, beat Temple.